Hello, hello. Welcome to Juhl Media weekly live interview program. My name is Ching Juhl. Today, my special guest is Susan Lee, a candidate for New York City Council member. Let's welcome to Susan.
Hi,
Hi,
Jane. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, good. Thank you for inviting me to your show.
Thank you for coming. Yeah, it's a beautiful 5 o'clock New York time is very beautiful outside. Yeah, thank you for being here and instead of
Yeah.
running around in the sun. How did you get into the world of politics?
Yeah. So I first entered politics as an intern. I interned for Council Member Ronnie Eldridge. She was a council member up in the Upper West Side. I went to Barnard College, so I was a sophomore in college, and it was fitting for me to volunteer to intern at a council member's office. And what was interesting about all this was there was this guy who called every Friday and complained about this pothole every Friday. And I would say to Ronnie, like, what is going on? Like him and this pothole. And she's like, Susan, do the work, call DOT, have them fix a pothole. Keep calling until they fix it. And we finally got it fixed. And then he still called. And I was kind of annoyed at first, like, oh my gosh, like what is up with this guy? And then he said to me, thank you so much for fixing the pothole because every time a truck hits a pothole, he could hear the stuff like shaking. He could hear it from his apartment. So, like cargoes or whatever, the metals clinging to each other. And he was like, now I could sleep for once. So, to me, I was like, wow, that's what a council member do. Like, you would think growing up, you hear about congressmen, you hear about presidents, and you hear about like senators, but you don't hear about council members. Or, you hear about the mayor because, he's the mayor of New York City, right? And so I was like, wow, this is really interesting. It's really small level micromanagement of city affairs. That's what our city council members do. And so I'm so glad and honored to have this opportunity to run for office down here in Lower Manhattan in Council District 1. I grew up in East Village, but my parents took me down to Chinatown every weekend. Chinatown was my playground, and I'm so glad I get to be a part of this journey.
So District 1, which you are running, and it covers quite large territories, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about, yeah, why is that? Why are they more like a focused in one area? It's so spread out.
So the district
Mhm,
is drawn based on the census data.
mhm.
And so we just got redistricted. The district used to be somewhere like um, east to west around the Houston Street area. And then in the middle, it goes up to Washington Square Park. That was changed recently because of redistricting with the new census data. So now it's literally almost approximate straight across river to river south of Houston. So when you look at it that way, it's really the geographic area shrunk, but we still have the same amount of people. So it's more dense, the area, and it's a very interesting district. We have the east side and the west side. It's river to river. It's very interesting. It's one of the most diverse districts in Manhattan. And yeah, it has its challenges, but it's really culturally rich. We have the old Jewish community. We have Chinatown. We have the West Side. We have Soho, where the artists are. And then you have like areas where political activism first took place. Like I used to work at Asian Americans for Equality, and they were one of the first, Chinese advocate activist organizations in Chinatown. So it's a privilege to run for this seat, and it's a privilege to speak with members of the community and to understand what their concerns are.
Yeah, so you've lived in New York City for pretty much all your life, right? And I mean, you immigrated to this country when you were 6 years old with your parents. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing, like how you did you like immigrant here because you had other relatives here and you just immigrant? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, so we so it was part of the family unification. So my grandma came here, well, my aunts came here first, then my grandma, and it was through that process we came in the 80s. And we came with nothing but 2 suitcases. And I still remember I was on the plane and I was about 6 years old. And I asked for apple. I asked for apple juice. And in Chinese, apple juice is 苹果水, which is 苹果水. It's literally apple water. So I said to the flight attendant on the plane, can I have apple water? And she gave me an apple and a cup of water. And I was too embarrassed to say to her, like, I want apple juice, right? Like, you're 6 years old and you think
Yeah.
like no English and you're on the plane and your parents didn't speak the language. And my mom was like, I thought you wanted apple juice. And I was like, I asked for apple juice, but they gave me apple and water.
Mm.
So I think it's something that's kind of, only Chinese people understand what it meant. But I still remember, we came to this country. We lived with my grandma, my uncle, my aunt, multi-generational household, like most immigrants, right? They live with whoever's in the country. And we had a bathtub. And I was like, wow, it's like a swimming pool. And I would take baths until my fingers turned into raisins. And my mom would have to like pluck me out of the tub, like, all right, we need to eat dinner.
Mm.
But for me, it was like, oh, this is great. I never thought of I was lacking anything in my childhood. My childhood was the most amazing thing. But we were poor. We grew up in poverty, like most immigrants, right? And I think that's the problem with the model minority myth, is that we are, successful, we're well off, and that's not true. We came, working class, poverty, we were on government subsistence programs. One of the other stories that I often tell people is, we would go to pizzeria on Saturday because my parents wanted me to have like some Western experience. And he would slice the pizza in half. And my brother would get half and I would get half. And then they would water down like the soda with a little bit of water. And they would say to us, oh, the soda's too sweet. We don't want you to drink sugar drinks. And it wasn't until I was in college, well, high school, that I realized, because someone was making fun of me when I poured water in my soda, that my parents couldn't afford a can of soda, 2 slices of pizza for her kids. But they did it because they wanted to make sure we had a taste of Western food, right? So I never felt like I was deprived of anything. I felt like, oh, I had everything I wanted. I never felt like, and that was like the beauty of my childhood. And so that's why I always feel like I need to give back, because I had such a good childhood. I had such a good upbringing that I never had a moment where I felt like I was without. And that's why I want to give back to the community. I've been a nonprofit executive for most of my adult life. I wanted to be a corporate attorney, but realized like that was not something I want to do, because I want to serve my community. I don't want to serve the big corporate interests.
Yeah, I understand. Well, that's a very moving story. And yeah, when you have nothing or little things when you grow up, actually, you didn't even realize, and so there's no pain. Actually, only later on, then you realize, oh, that's outside world is supposed to like. I grew up with no refrigeration, no air conditioner, no
Right.
heat. In Shanghai. So
Wow.
Yeah, in Shanghai in those years, and you have a kitchen and you share with 5 families, and
Mm,
everybody's cooking at the one room with a very oily wall. So and smelly, smelly kitchen. So, but you don't feel sorry for yourselves, right? And yeah, so that's very interesting. And so now you have been in New York for a long time, and let's just rewind back a little bit more. So I know you got really good education, including high school, and then you move on to Columbia. Um, that that is very expensive school. So, like, tell us a little bit about your education. Yeah, you have double degrees, and I mean 2 different areas. Yeah,
I've been so fortunate.
yeah,
I went to a great public school.
yeah,
I went to Brooklyn Tech.
yeah. That's an awesome school.
Yeah, and I think like, our public school education system is, there's work to be done to improve it. I'm not going to dispute that, but there are wonderful schools, the specialized high schools. So what happened was, I kind of a little bit embarrassed, but everyone knows the story. So I was interested in only going to school in Boston because I liked this boy that was in Boston College. And I was like, I want to go to Boston. I want to be with this boy. And my mom was like, no way. Like, you need to apply to some schools in New York. Like, we want you home. And so I applied to schools that I thought I wouldn't get into. I was like, I'm just going to apply for like the reach schools, right? Like
Yeah,
schools that you're like, oh, I might get in,
right.
trying to sabotage my own education, right? Because I like this boy. And Barnard, which is the female school for Columbia, they accepted me and they gave me, which was very generous, they gave me a need base and a merit based scholarship. So I got both.
Mm,
And I was fortunate where 4 years of college, I only took out $10,000 in loan.
wow.
Like, that's nothing. That's like
Mhm,
what people pay for books now, right?
right.
Very fortunate. And then I went on to work at a law firm for a couple of years because I wanted to be a corporate attorney. And then I realized just through my work there that I don't want to do this. Like, I want to help people. And so I went to get my master's at NYU.
Hmm.
And again, another very fortunate, very generous scholarship came along, and
Wow.
I only had to pay 50% of my tuition.
Mm,
So I think that is also what paved the way for me to give back, was
mhm,
all these people, all these institutions, they believed in me. They knew, like, Susan, you're going to sow the seeds of goodness for the community.
mhm,
So that's why ever since then, I either worked as a nonprofit executive or I donate my time to nonprofits because I feel like I've been so blessed. I need to pay it forward, right? Like, I think that that's really what's um, ingrained in me by my parents, and I want to applaud my parents for instilling these little ideas in me since I was a child. I still remember my mom would say to me, if you're on the bus and if you see an elderly, you better get up. You better give her that seat or him that seat. You see an elderly opening a door and it's too heavy for him or her, make sure you grab the door. So I think that that's like some of the stuff that my parents kind of planted in my head since I was a little girl. And so I'm thinking, I'm calculating, right? Like, that's like about 400, no, it's about, yeah, $400,000 in education that I didn't
mhm.
have to pay for. So I just want to pay it forward. So on Wednesdays, I tutor kids at an after school program here in Chinatown. I used to deliver foods to seniors because, I think that those are the two segment of the population that needs the most help. Like, you and I, we could figure it out, right? Or our friends could figure it out with us. But the seniors and the children, like, they really need help. And so I'm happy to be the voice of that, of those communities.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And now you have worked on several projects, like when you were working at a law firm. And do you ever consider being a lawyer?
I did. And I think that broke my mom's heart when I told her that I didn't want to. I got into a law school and I told her I couldn't afford it. And so she was like, I'll take out a loan. Like, you have to be a lawyer. And then I said to her, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just tell you the truth. Like, I don't want to go. I don't
Why
think
is that? Why?
I don't think I need to be a lawyer to do what I want to do.
Mm,
I really want to just help the community. Yes, of course. If I know the letter of the law, it's great. I can advocate from a different perspective.
mm,
But also, there are people that are probably just as good as lawyers. And so I could partner with them. And that's the beauty of how I operate. I love to collaborate with people. I'm a coalition builder. I think it's really important that you be an expert in something and let other people be experts in other things so you
mm.
can work together. You can't be an expert in all areas. And so that's the beauty of how I operate. I reach out to people often and say, hey, can you help me with this? Um, Even now in my campaign, I'll say to my staff, I don't know how to work, Google Calendar. Can you help me?
Mhm.
And it took them a while to get me up to speed on things, but it's just one of those things, that little things here and there. I'm not afraid to ask for help. I'm not afraid to have tough discussions. Like I often have policy discussions with my interns because I want to see what young people think about certain things, because maybe I'm not exposed to what they're exposed to. So I think that, at the end of the day, it's really important, for us to kind of think outside of the box, talk to people that are experts. So law school wasn't part of the plan for me because I felt like there were other people that could be even better lawyers than I am. And let me focus on being, an advocate. I have a degree in public finance. So that's my area of expertise. And I want to focus on doing that, making sure things run efficiently and effectively.
So you're good money management, in good management, and make sure the city doesn't overspend or does not have not enough money, right?
Yes, yeah. So I'm a grant writer by trade.
Mm,
And this is something really interesting. Most grant writers, they like to write the grant, the narrative, and then they
mm,
come up with a budget.
mm,
But for me, I like to get the budget first because I
mm,
think the budget will inform me of how the program will run.
mm,
And that will help me with my narrative. So I
mm,
always think of stuff from a budget perspective.
mhm,
Because if you don't have, you could talk about all these programs you want, but if you don't have the budget for it,
mm,
then what's the point of talking about it? So I always
right.
come in with the thinking of budget first.
Mhm,
Now, if you ask, people in my office, it's like I'm always asking, like, okay, can we borrow this microwave from someone? Can we borrow this desk from someone? Because I'm
mm,
like, I don't want to spend the money. I think there's a lot of waste in our environment. So if we
mhm,
can, we should recycle and
mhm.
use products. So that's what I like to do. I'm a penny pincher.
A lot of Chinese people are. And
Mhm.
yeah, so I know you were working also for a cause, which it's a very tragic time for New York. It's the 911 recovery efforts. Now, I'm just curious, on 911, where were you? Yeah, tell me the story.
So I used to work at a law firm in Lower Manhattan, on Broad and Water Street. And every morning I would take the train in, the subway in, because I used to live in Brooklyn at that time. And so 9/11 happened and the subway was late. We were stuck. And I was like, oh man, I hate being late. So for me, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm late. And then it just didn't seem normal. It was just like a really long time. And then we got out. Um, and I remember I was walking to my office and I saw my manager and I was crying because I was scared. And a typical man, right? Like he just didn't know what to do with a crying woman. He handed me off to a stranger who was a woman. And he was just like, yeah, deal with her. And so I'm crying with this woman, like we were both afraid. And they sent us to the basement. So back in, I want to say like the 80s, because of the war with the Cold War with Soviet Union, a lot of buildings have fallout shelter. So our office building's basement was like a fallout shelter. So they sent everyone to the basement. And I don't know if you were here during 9/11, but they cut off all cell phone reception. My parents couldn't find me. No one could find me. My office, the only way to find me was to call my office. And my dad actually had to call someone in Hong Kong and had a relative from Hong Kong call me to relay messages because direct US calls weren't coming through. So I had my friend Josephine in Hong Kong call me, relay messages that my parents are safe, my mom's safe, my brother's safe. And we just sat there. And then I still remember it was, I think it was around 3:00. They let us out. And we walked along FDR Drive from Water Street to Chinatown. And finally, Ben he might have been my fiance at that point. He's my husband now. He literally finally got a hold of me. And I was like, I am going to Confucius Plaza because my sister-in-law's family lived there. So that was the safe place for us. We walked and I saw shoes along FDR Drive. Like people, high heels. People were running for their lives. They had to take off their shoes. And so we were in Chinatown. And I still remember if you stand in a certain position in Chinatown, you could see the Twin Towers. And we always called it the mothership because you knew that if you're looking at the Twin Towers, that's facing south. You lost that. The mothership was gone. And it kind of sinked in that it felt like World War III. There was all this soot that was in the air. My office was literally 10-minute walk to the World Trade Center. And so we were out of the office for about a week. And then finally things opened up. And I just was like, I need to do something about this. What do I do? And this was one of the things that I was like, damn, I wish I was a lawyer, right? Like I could do something. Instead, I organized a bunch of paralegals to fill out death certificates for those that died. And I was just like 20-something years old, and I'm just filling out these forms with paralegals who are notaries. And then we had attorneys that were doing it. And the firm actually recognized me and gave me an award for this effort. To me, it wasn't something to get an award for. It wasn't an effort. It was just something that I felt we had to do, right? Like, my husband at that time, he actually saw one of the towers come down on TV because they couldn't believe that it was going to happen. So he works at that time, he was at Morgan Stanley, and they had all the TVs on the trading floor. And he told me, like, when it came down, he didn't know, like, he was just like, what? Like, it was unbelievable, right? Like, you see these two towers, and I don't know, Ching, if you were here during that time.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like you saw two steel buildings, right? Like, how could they collapse? Like, wow. So after that, what's really tragic is I have several friends, and we didn't know this at the time, right? Because, the EPA, DEP said the air was safe. There was no contaminants. Mm. I have several friends. I filled out affidavits for them. Several friends who are suffering from 9/11 cancers. We didn't know. We were down there. I worked down there for 3 years, not knowing the air that I breathe could be toxic.
Mm.
Put faith in government, right? We were going to do it. And so I just felt like, you know what? I wanted, and I'm blessed where the firm that I was working at had the resources that gave me the opportunity to say, hey, Susan, run with this, organize the paralegals to notarize these death certificates. Like, if you can think of a project, we'll help you fund it. So that's why I always feel like if I can think of something and if someone's going to help me fund it, I should do it. And it's because they have faith in me. That's why I have to give back to the community. And so I was fortunate to work at a firm that was very supportive of the little projects that I had in mind. Like, I helped political asylum seekers apply for status in the United States. One was a Tibetan monk. The other was a family from Iraq that was fleeing the war in Iraq. One was an LGBTQ man that was escaping persecution in Guatemala. I mean, these are things that I would never imagine I would do, right? But this firm had all the resources and was like, knock yourself out, go for it. As long as you find an attorney that will mentor you and support you, do it. And so I had these great attorneys that helped me. But that was also at the same time when I had a candid conversation with one of them. And he was like, look at what you accomplished without a law degree. Do you need one? If you don't, do something else. Do what your heart tells you to do. And that's why I decided not to go for a law degree. It was because I was able to do so much without it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Beautiful story. Now you've done so many things, and you're such a short. You're so young still, and in terms of immigration, I was very concerned about the issue lately. Is that there's New York, a city has accepted a lot of refugees from from the situation in the war, right? So, how do you feel about that?
So, I helped organize 2 necessity drives for the migrants that came to my district here in Lower Manhattan, 231 Grand Street. We donated over 20,000 articles of clothing, toiletry, school supplies. We need to help them. I was an immigrant. I knew how hard it was to not speak the language, not have any friends, but also at the same time, as a New Yorker, I see our New Yorkers who are struggling, right? And I feel like we need to help them as well. I think this is more of a national issue. I think our president should take a bolder stance on immigration policies. But I also think it's important for us to not lose compassion because, I met someone who I was in a restaurant in DC, and she is a dishwasher there in one of the restaurants that I frequent in DC. And, she's here illegally. And I asked her about her journey. And she told me she traveled and her daughter watched her get raped.
Oh no.
And, she explained it as the price you have to pay to come to the United States, the journey that you took. And she told me it was, the guy that was taking her across the border, right? And you think about the struggle. Like, I didn't have to go through that, right? I came on an airplane. I came legally. But then you think about the ones that come illegally, how much abuse they endure, right? Because they can't report it. They're afraid to report it, right? Because they're like, I'm here illegally. So I don't want them to be exploited, but also at the same time, I want to make sure that our residents, our citizens are taken care of. So I really think it's something that our federal government needs to get a handle of.
Yeah. You have worked in so many different directions, and for there's one organization called AAFE, Community Development Fund. So,
Yes.
what does AAFE stands for, and yeah, what did you do for them?
So it is an organization called Asian Americans for Equality, and their subsidiary is CDF, which is the Community Development Fund, and they help first-time home buyers navigate the challenges, and especially immigrants, right? We don't know the paperwork, we don't know the financing, so they help with that, and they help with budgeting. I was a volunteer. I started off as a volunteer. And of course, they're like, oh, you speak great English. Do you want to stay on as a staff? And I'm like, okay, why not? And so I stayed on as a staff after graduating from NYU. And it was just they're such a great organization. They provide loans to the community. They also have like a commercial arm, which they do like loans to small businesses. And so I thought it was, really interesting that they understand that a community is not just the residents, but also the small businesses that are there. So they approach it from a very holistic perspective of giving, residents, small businesses loans to really help shape what a community truly looks like. So I worked with them as a grant writer, and then I was their community person.
That's nice. Can you check your private message?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I just think you maybe you should give you
Oh,
a little bit more light.
let me change my my shades.
I think the sun has changed the direction, so that's why your face is getting darker and darker. So I'm talking to Susan Lee.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Oh, better.
Yeah. What did you do differently?
Oh my gosh, like I didn't notice. Okay, this was like 20 minutes of me in the dark. I pulled out my shade. Oh,
Nice.
I want to apologize to everyone.
That's nice.
My face was so dark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you so much. And also, I wanted to ask you about like you have been involved quite a few of being a board. You're on the board of many organizations, and yeah, tell us a few of them. What what made you want to be on the board, and what you have accomplished with these organizations.
So the first nonprofit that I helped create is called Nomi Network, and it is an anti-human trafficking agency. Its goal is to end modern day slavery through workforce development and women empowerment. And we started in Cambodia. I knew nothing about Cambodia, but I was at AFE CDF, and my graduate intern had this idea, like, Susan, I want to start this nonprofit. Would you join the board? And so I said, you know what? I have enough faith in Diana that, sure, I'll join the board. I'll help you. And so what was something like, oh, I need you to help me write some grants, to this major nonprofit now. We have an office in Cambodia. We have an office in India. We are also in Dallas. So we really expanded. And this has been, I think, like 14, 15 years now. And I still remember my first trip to Cambodia was life-changing, which is why I feel like everyone should go on these mission trips if they can with nonprofits. I think it's a really rewarding way. If you're donating money to the organization, go to wherever. It could be in the Bronx, in Chinatown. in Cambodia, India. You really need to see the work that they do to really appreciate it. So I was in Cambodia, and I was at a hotel, and literally there's a sign that says, please be mindful of your water usage. I guess Americans like to take long showers. I'm not sure. Like, there was a sign, and I was asking my friend. And so what people do in Cambodia is they turn on the water, they get their body wet, they turn it off, then they put soap and they like wash their bodies and their hair, and then they turn the water on again to rinse off. So you're saving water in between your wash. And so I was like, oh, wow, having shower that water runs consistently is a luxury. Like, we think it's a basic human rights, right? We're like, oh my gosh, like they're cleaning our boiler, I can't take a shower today, and we like get all upset. Meanwhile, like, I'm in Cambodia and I'm like, oh, they don't have running water. Not everyone has running water. We need to be mindful. And so I go to these places. We went to a brothel where one of our fellow agency rescued the woman in the sex trade. We walked through the factories that we help employ women so they could make, goods to sell so they could earn a living. So I went to those and I realized, like, wow, this is what I'm doing. So that's like one of the organizations I started. And then I joined another organization called Mercy First. They've been around forever. They provide human service agency to everyone in New York City, but primarily they work with foster kids, foster families, and they want to make sure that kids, and that's why education is so important. They want to make sure kids graduate from high school at least. And then if they go off to college, they provide scholarship fund. So I think, as part of that agency, I see how much work nonprofits do to provide for the community that sometimes government agencies can't. But also most recently, I fought against the oversaturation of shelters in Chinatown. And some of us in the group was like, instead of always fighting against something, let's fight for something, right? Like, let's fight for something good for our community. So we banded together and we formed this group called SDR Park Alliance. And we put in an application for a grant. And we got $3.5 million from Governor Hochul's office to revitalize a park called Sarah D. Roosevelt Park here in Chinatown. So we were able to just a bunch of people that just cared about the community. And we were tired of fighting, we fought against the jail. We fought against oversaturation of shelters. We just felt like we want to celebrate something good. We don't want to always be against something. Why don't we be for something? And so this group, we do park cleanup every month. And it's funny because we planted plants, flowers this past event. And moms come up to me and they're like, this is great because my kids know nothing about dirt because they live in apartments, right? They don't dig. They don't know anything about plants. And you gave them this opportunity to plant things, to see, things grow, the work of their labor, right? The fruits of their labor, because you could see the plants grow. Oh, you walk by the park and say, hey, Ching, I planted that. So I think it's definitely an experience where city kids, they're like, oh, this is wonderful. And so hopefully we'll continue doing this month after month. We pause between December and April just because it's too cold to be in the park. But we try to do events up until November. So we'll probably have in October, like a Halloween theme. Like, you have to dress up in your costume to come clean the park. For September, we'll probably do like a back to school event where we'll collect donations for, notebooks, pens, pencils for the kids, backpack. So those are some of the stuff that I am looking forward to because I'm tired of always fighting against stuff. We want to celebrate our community.
Where is the location of that park? Is this one park or parks?
this park is very, very big. It's like it actually goes from Houston Street all the way down to Canal, and it's from that's the north and south boundary. The east and west boundary is Forsyth and Christie. So we're part of. So we didn't want to be this big, so we focused on Hester Street Playground. So that's Hester Street between Forsyth and Christie Street. So that's where we concentrate a bulk of our work. So it's been really rewarding, and I think it's great that the kids come. We had I think 2 teenagers that keep coming back. So we've been doing this since last October.
That's nice. So people
Yeah.
can hands-on to work with the soil. And you're right. A lot of time we're city people, like myself, I'm a germ freak. I was like, oh, that's dirty. Wash your hands, and
Right.
where my husband has a rule, 5-second rule, things get on floor, 5 seconds, he picks up and he eats it. So that also has to do with his upbringing, that he was grown up in a cooperative in up Rockland County and in the
Mm,
woods, and not in the city, like I grew up in Shanghai. And so we're always very afraid of the dust, dirt.
yes.
It's
Yeah.
nice that kids can work with it, and also the experience of seed something, right? Putting the seed down and then watch something come up. And I think it's a very good experience. Yeah. And yeah, it's nothing like that.
Hmm.
So tell us a little bit about your opponent. Like what can you beat him? Like what is your strategy?
So, I think one of the things I want to focus on is,
Oh, sorry, dear. Sorry, dear. Give us a little spiel about a councilman. Like, if someone does not know what is a councilman, like what is a New York City councilman? What do they do? And also, the election is when, and then you have like 1, 2, 3 component, right? And
yeah.
mainly the incumbent person. So tell us a little bit.
So, so right now, the incumbent, he's been in office for a little over a year. He was elected in 2021, and he took office in 2022, January. So we have 3, including myself, 3 challengers for the position. So there are 4 of us in total, the incumbent and 3 challengers. The primary is June 27th. Early voting starts June 17th. So we're about 2 weeks away, a little over 2 weeks. And what's really exciting about this race is, a lot of people are upset about what's going on in the city. I think that we often talk about quality of life issues. We complain about a lot, dirty sidewalks, outdoor dining sheds, right? We complain about, bike lanes or traffic rules. I mean, those are within the purview of what a city council member is responsible for. And so a lot of the stuff, like going back to the pothole story, like something as minor as that is what a city council member does or should be advocating for. Education is another one, the libraries, the operating hours. So anything that you can think of your everyday life is something that's affected by your city council legislators. And so what about my strategy is really just to be authentic, transparent. Like I said in the beginning, I'm not afraid to have tough conversations. I'm not afraid to build coalition. Not, I mean, I've been married 18 years.
Wow, you're only 19. You look
I
so young.
I met my husband when I was in college, and I we've been together since, oh my gosh, 1998.
Mm.
Right? So we've been married 18, together for 7 years prior. We've been together for a quarter of a century. We still can't decide what to eat for dinner sometimes. right? Like, I mean, that's the thing, right? And so I look at it as life. We can't always agree on everything. You might like bok choy, I might like choy sum, right? So maybe one day we'll have bok choy, one day we'll have choy sum. We need to come to a compromise. But I think what happens with our political dialogue now, I think just in all dialogues, is if you don't agree with me, then you're the enemy. And that is not true.
Mm,
I think that we need to be more forgiving.
mm,
We need to hear other people out because their lived experience is important too. It could help shape or inform your decision. So, this is how I think is going to be my winning strategy. And it's worked for me so far is to be transparent, to be authentic, to be a good listener, and to really touch base every once in a while to check in on people to make sure they're okay. There's a senior, I tell the story often because, Chinese parents, they like to brag about how great their kids are, right? So there's the senior. She's like, "Oh, Susan, I'm so lucky. My son bought a house in Brooklyn. He wants me to live with him." And I'm like, "Oh, congrats, Auntie. Like, you should." And she's like, "No, I'm going to be honest with you. I like Chinatown. It's dirty. I have to walk five flights of stairs to my apartment. But this is where my friends are. This is where I get my groceries. This is where I get my coffee, my bows." So I think that it's really important to celebrate that and to think about, the seniors are the ones who built this community that nurtured me. I like to tell people, I say it a lot, I'm a daughter of this community because without this community, I'm nothing. They raised me, they nurtured me. I am who I am today because of them. And so I might not know their names, but I always know their faces and I'll say hi to them. My husband jokes, it's like whenever you meet Susan for dinner, she's always 10 minutes late. It's because someone stops her on the street to say hi to her. And now that I'm campaigning, it's happened a lot more because my
mm.
posters are in Chinatown and throughout the district. But I celebrate that. If, you know, if I win, it's great. I will continue to do what I do. And if I don't, I still will continue to do what I do because I've been doing it before. I've accomplished so much as a civilian. I can't imagine what else I can accomplish when I'm elected because then I have more resources at my disposal to help those that really need the help. So, I really thank you for inviting me here because I think you're a resource to me for the community because you get the message out for those that want to know what Susan Lee is about.
Yeah, thank you. No, I'm very glad I met you and ran into you, and I was very interested in your story. And tell us a little bit about you have a debate coming up.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I just got the confirmation. So New York One is gonna host the debate, and it will air June 15th, right
June 15th.
before early voting.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm really excited, and it's the primary. So usually in New York, in Manhattan, at least in my district, if you win the primary, you're most likely going to win the general election. So it's really important. It's going to be a low turnout race. So everyone who's out there, go out to vote, regardless of who you're voting for, because it is something that is a privilege and it's an honor to do it. So please go out and vote. June 17th is early voting. Primary day is June 27th.
So the debate is not live. They video first. And
Yes.
okay.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
and so tell us who can vote.
So you have to be a registered voter in New York City. And you have to be, so for the Democratic primary, you have to be a registered Democrat. If you're a Republican, there isn't a Republican primary. I don't think the Republican is running a contested race. So this is really just the Dems. There are other seats like there are judges that are running and district leaders and state committee members. So those are the other races, but the top of the ballot is city council. So it's going to be a low turnout. It's June 27th is the last day of public school. So if you are thinking of pulling your kids out of school early, please vote during early voting time. It's important that you exercise your right to vote.
Is only people live in District 1 get to vote?
That's correct. So, but if you live in other districts, there are elections happening in your district as well. But you can only vote for me if you live in District 1. So please, if you do live in District 1, check out my website, learn about my policy. It's susanleenyc.com. Learn, and, I welcome questions. I hold meet the candidate office hours every Thursday from 2 to 4. Locations change week to week because I want to accommodate folks from different areas of the district. But how I run my campaign is how I run my office when I am elected. I think it's really important to sit down with your constituents and have an open dialogue with them. So this meet the candidate office hours is kind of like what professors do with their students. You come and you talk about your issues. So that's what I've been doing, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. So this Thursday, from 2 to 4, I'm going to be at Silk Road Cafe here on Mott Street. Come visit me. Even if you don't have any questions or concerns, say hi to me, because campaigning can be tough, and your smile, your greeting will carry me through the day. It really, I lost 12 pounds since campaigning. I know it's the best diet ever, but really just having words of encouragement, people saying hi to me, really gives me that boost of energy. So if you're in that neighborhood, come say hi.
Tell me again, dear. What time?
2 to 4 on Thursday. So that's tomorrow.
Thursday is tomorrow.
And it's at Silk Road Cafe.
It's June 1st.
Yes.
Right. June 2 to 4 at where? Sorry.
Silk Road Cafe on Mott Street.
Oh, okay. Silk Road. I'm writing it down so I can put it at Silk Road Cafe. Cafe, CAFEE, Cafe on Mott Street.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, people go meet Susan. Ask her question, and that'd be wonderful if I live near Chinatown. I will come to meet you. Now, I wanted to talk about something fun and something actually not just fun. I find you are very resilient, and you are consistent, and just to see how you run the marathon, and tell us a little bit about that, please, dear. And we're about to wrap up. We're gonna do a rapid fire after very soon.
Okay. So I was training for the half marathon for my 35th birthday. And my best friend in Chicago was like, why don't you just put in the lottery for the full marathon in Chicago? I've never won anything in my life, but I won an entry to Chicago Marathon that year. So I was like, I need to do this because I can't piss off the lottery god, right? Like I will never win anything again if I rejected this opportunity. So I ran the Chicago Marathon on my 35th birthday that year when I was 35. And I didn't make it. Like, my time was off, like terrible. I think I did like 4 hours, 45 minutes. It was terrible. And I'm crying. And my best friend's son was like, Aunt Susan, why are you crying? And so I thought, you know what? I need to show this child that you gave it your all. You need to train. You need to do better. So every time my time has improved, every marathon. And for my 40th birthday, my husband asked me what I wanted for my birthday present. He's like, do you want jewelry, a vacation? I was like, no, run a marathon with me. And to him, it was like a death sentence. Like, what? And I was like, no, please run. Like, I think that's the best thing we can do. Now he's hooked on running marathons as well.
Wow.
So I've done 14 marathons. before COVID. Ever since COVID, I haven't ran a marathon because I'm campaigning.
Yeah.
But my husband, he still signs up for races, hoping that I'll join him, but I haven't. So he's ran 3 half marathons this
Yeah.
year. And so we
Oh,
joke.
good for
I'm like,
him.
you run marathons, I run a different race, I run a campaign. So
Yeah.
we're both running. So it's been really. I hope Tokyo is my bucket list. It's my last one. I hope. And I hope to do that sometime soon. So yeah, that's just how I just started running because my best friend told me do
That's
the lottery.
wonderful. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. That shows, you have a lot of strength, and not only physically, and also, the strength in your mind, and consistently pursue something, and it's a really commendable. Now, yeah, we touched on many things. Anything else you want to give us a last word before we do the rapid fire?
Okay, so you talked about my resiliency, and I genuinely mean this. I'm resilient because of my family, my dad, my mom, because I'm not home all the time, so they bring soup to my apartment in a thermos, and they call me. And it's like, oh, drink your soup. My husband campaigns with me on the weekend, so I'm resilient because there are so many people behind me that have my back. You know, people like you, like New Leaf Dems, people that I just met who will put their reputation on the line because they met me once and they are like, I love Susan.
Sorry, we didn't mention the union. You were endorsed by the
Oh,
labor union.
yes, yeah, last week endorsed by the largest city employee union, District Council 37. And that's the thing, that's why I'm resilient, because I have all these people that support me. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's scary, right? With all these people supporting you, but also I feel so loved. And I know that we will carry forward. And it's, I'm nothing without all of you. And I genuinely mean this, because you can never do it alone. If anyone tells you they can, they're not genuine, they're disingenuous.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. So let's I always do a rapid fire, not always, 95% of the time do with
Okay.
my best, and just a short question and short answer. And it's kind of fun. It's not very necessarily very intellectual, but it's fun. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, other than running, do you have a hobby?
Knitting.
Whoa. So you from Canton, you guys, I've been Canton before, but you have the best food. And there's a dim sum. The word dim sum means small dishes, and I go sometimes eat them. So when you go to dim sum, and what are the three must order dishes you ordered?
Hachang, which is the shrimp roll.
Oh yeah,
Chicken feet,
yeah. Chicken
because
feet
I
in
can.
Cantonese. How do you say that?
Chicken feet,
Oh,
fong dao.
bông zhao, bông zhao. Right, right, right.
Yes, because I can never make it. I would never make it.
I love bông zhao.
Yes, I love fong dao.
Bông zhao.
And siu mai.
烧麦.
Yes,
Right. Ah, 烧麦.
it
烧麦
has to be
is
the authentic one though. Like it has
amazing.
to be like from a dim sum restaurant.
Yeah, yeah. 烧麦 is like a dough of a dough, a thin dough, and inside it has meat and maybe rice, right?
It has pork and then shrimp.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll put sticky rice, but generally it's pork and shrimp.
Mm. Yeah. Well, Cantonese people really knows how to eat. That's
Yes.
wonderful. Yeah. And you're so lucky, you're so close to Chinatown. There's
Oh
so
my
much.
gosh, yes.
Yeah.
My office is here in Chinatown. It's at
Uh-huh.
Mott Street, so I'm very lucky.
Oh, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, so many great food. Yeah. All right. So, what are the two electronic gadgets you cannot live without?
My iPhone which has been taken away from me by my husband. He's like, you need
Good
to go
for
to
him.
sleep. He's
Huh?
like, you need to go to sleep because I'm always on my phone. So last week he took it away from me.
Oh,
Um, that's about it.
no.
Because you know what? It's funny. I didn't own a TV in my apartment
Oh,
until this November.
that's a sign of a civilization.
I can like I don't care to watch TV and
Uh-huh.
stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, my phone. I can't live without my phone. Yeah.
Okay. Now travel. Do you have any desire, any like a burning desire, if you don't have to work, which country, which city you want to go?
Oh my gosh. I want to go to Anguilla. It's an island in the Caribbean. My husband and I love the island. We go back every couple of years. Um, if that would be a place that I can retire, I would. It's just beautiful. People are super friendly. Such a small island. We went there for our 5-year anniversary and we fell in love with it. And we've been going back every couple of years since. So, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Do you play a musical instrument?
No, I used to play the piano
Well,
and
then you do.
I was so bad. I used to get slapped with the ruler. Like it was literally like a typical Chinese piano
That's
teacher
funny. Yeah,
slapping my hand with a
yeah,
ruler because I'm not playing fast enough or
yeah.
my hands were not positioned properly. And I told my mom, I was like, you're paying this woman to hit me. Like, you should stop. Like, why are you, you know?
That's
So I
funny.
think I did it for 4 years. And then my
Oh
mom was
God,
like, it's a waste of money. Like, you don't care for it. So yeah, I tried.
that's funny. Only you hear the story from Chinese, probably, right? And then in the Western world, the teacher is gonna be arrested.
Right. And I was like, you're paying this woman to hit me. And my mom like never hit us growing
Yeah,
up. So I was
yeah.
just like, this is really weird.
Uh,
So yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I can actually visualize that because my mom is a piano teacher. Not that she hit her students, but she's very strict, and
Mhm.
she's just like pretty what do you call, grueling? Is that the word? Pretty.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. She's very strict, and so yeah. Any good books you read recently? You think we should read?
Um, I no, I haven't because I've been busy campaigning.
Hmm.
But one of my favorite books is The Bluest Eye. Another one is Their Eyes Are Watching God. Those are two books that expose me to the African American community as like literature. Like I grew up in a multicultural neighborhood, so I knew kids of other backgrounds, but I never saw it from a literary perspective. And those were the first two books that I read about that I read on my own that I wasn't assigned to. I think when you read something for pleasure, you get a different experience from it. And so those were the two books, if you ask me, that I really enjoyed reading.
Um, Is there anyone who inspires you to be a public servant? Like you watch someone, or I know you're inspired by a lot of situations, but any person?
Ronnie Eldridge, the councilwoman that I interned for. I didn't know what I was walking into. I just was like, oh, it's an internship by my school. It's easy, a subway ride, 2 stops, I'm there. But she really instilled in me that your constituents come first. That annoying guy that called every Friday is your boss. He pays the taxes so you could get a salary, right? So she inspired me to be, to give back to the community. I actually was thinking, I want to run for like something in the federal level. But after working for her, I realized things that affect your life is really from the local level.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. That's very true.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, hypothetically, when you win, you're going to be having this very busy job. you're going to be, working for people, and hopefully solving problems. And if you do not win, and what you are going to do?
I'm just going to continue doing what I've been doing. I've been very successful in doing it. And hopefully, because of this campaign, I've met more people who will perhaps join the coalition and do more work for the community. It's not just Chinatown. I've met great people in the east part of the district, in the western part of the district. There are a lot of needs in our district. So I hope to continue that work.
Wonderful. um, I was going to ask you that, yeah, name name two things that you're going to solve when you win the most. You think that, I know I know, looking at your website, you have so many issues you want to solve, but two things very, very, first, what are the two things?
So one of the things that I don't know if I can solve it, but
Mm,
I aim to put a lot of effort into is the mental health crisis in the Asian American community.
mm,
It's oftentimes really hard. As you know, like we don't really talk about it, but you know, today's the last day of AAPI month, but it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. I want to shed light on the fact that a lot of our family members, friends, suffer from mental health illness, but they don't have the resources necessary
mm,
to. We don't have enough counselors that speak the language.
mm.
If you need to express how you feel in another language besides your native tongue, it's really hard. So I think that we really need to work on that. And one of the things that I would love to do, and I don't know if it's possible, is to have those that are going into mental health professions through the CUNY system
Mm.
have their loans forgiven if they work in a public sector. Because I was fortunate where I came out of college without much debt. And if you're not going to be able to pay these people in the public sector for mental health, I think it's really important to forgive their loans. So that's one of the things that I really want to champion is to help solve the mental health crisis in our community.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So I'm just showing Susan's website. It's a very handsome website and very thorough. So you people go check it out.
Yes, thank
Right.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, yes, it's been such a wonderful opportunity for me to talk to you, and thank you for coming to my show. And I'm sure you're very inspiring to a lot of young people who want to do the same thing as you do. And thank you for your service and for all the work you've done for so many years.
Thank you, Ching. And thank you for, I believe we met for a reason. I mean, I sat next to you, right? Like I could have sat next to someone else. So I really think that day we were meant to meet each other. Thank you for this opportunity. It didn't even feel like I've been here for an hour and 10 minutes. Time flew by, and
Yeah.
I just feel so comfortable with you. And thank you again for giving me this platform. Like I said, I can't do it alone. So thank you for being a supporter.
Thank you. Thank you. So, to our viewers, thank you, Sharkfin, and thank you so many people listening from Facebook and also on Twitter. And please re-watch this replay. And I thank you. We thank you to be here with us. And I'm Ching Juhl. And yeah, and please check out Susan's website and support her. Go to meet her at the Silver Road Cafe. Have a coffee. All right. Okay. So we're closing. Yeah. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, Ching.
yeah, we're closing. We're closing this broadcast. Bye.